Yuenzi lay in bed, drenched in sweat and gasping for air, his face twisted in pain. Slowly, he sat up, clutching his head. A strange illness had plagued him since high school. His brain would uncontrollably recall past memories and analyze everything around him. The condition gave him remarkable control over his body, but at a cost. Splitting headaches that left him trembling until he reached for his pills. Hospitals never found the cause, but his mother's medicine kept the symptoms at bay, at least for a while. Now, even that relief was fading. A voice called from outside his room, asking if he was awake and reminding him about a package by the door. He was also urged to hurry for breakfast. Yuenzi, still exhausted, muttered back that he'd be right there. Taking a deep breath, he realized the medicine was losing its effect. His body had grown too used to it. At the dining table, Lao Bang mentioned that Auntie would take him shopping for clothes later. Yuenzi gave a tired nod, only for Lao Bang's mother to smack his arm, warning she'd break his legs if he dared to go. Startled, Yuenzi cried out, demanding why she'd punish him for something his aunt planned. She glared at him, promising she never made empty threats. Lao Bang laughed, teasing that Yuenzi, now in his 20s, should dress well if he wanted to impress girls. Flustered, Yuenzi ducked behind her, feeling like he was being dragged into yet another scheme. Their mother accused them of plotting, claiming their aunt needed to remarry after her blind dates failed. Yuenzi protested it was all a misunderstanding, but Lao Bang kept pressing him with questions until Yuenzi, exhausted, excused himself. He announced he'd check his package and told them to carry on their argument without him. In his room, Yuenzi carefully opened the small gray box. Inside was a card, shiny, elegant, and unmistakably exclusive. It looked like a VIP membership to a high-end wellness club. Yuenzi slipped the strange card into his pocket for the time being, unsure of its purpose. He then examined a yellow envelope and a silver box with a calm expression. Inside was a handwritten letter from his brother, Lei Yibing Brother Bing. In it, Bing claimed he had discovered something life-changing, but too overwhelming to handle on his own. He entrusted it to Yuenzi instead. Yuenzi frowned, wondering how something could be too much for someone as capable as his brother. Frustrated, he gripped his purple phone, convinced Bing was up to something shady. After all this time, was this what his brother thought of him? The phone rang. Yuenzi answered, expecting Bing, but was surprised to hear Bing's father instead. At first confused, he quickly brightened and asked to speak with his brother. But Uncle Lei's voice grew heavy as he explained. Bing had gone missing from school. Yuenzi froze. 2 days had passed since anyone last saw him. Shocked, he pressed for answers. Had the police been involved? Uncle Lei explained Bing vanished from his dorm without a trace. Security cameras showed he never left. His roommate even swore he'd spoken to him before bed, only to turn around and find him gone. Troubled, Yuenzi wondered if his brother had been kidnapped, or if something worse had happened. Uncle Lei, exhausted from sleepless nights with Auntie Zhou, admitted the police had told them to go home and wait. Yuenzi, staying composed, advised his uncle not to panic. He would seek advice from their grandfather and cousin at the Public Security Bureau. After ending the call, Yuenzi stood deep in thought. His brother had disappeared, and just before that, he'd sent him a mysterious package. Instinctively, Yuenzi reached into his pocket for the black card, but it was gone. His eyes widened in horror. It had vanished without a trace. Gripping his head in agony, he groaned his brother's name. The pain was unbearable, sweat running down his face. Blood trickled from the corner of his mouth as he fumbled for 2 blue pills and swallowed them quickly. Just then, Lao Bang's mother called out. Investigators from the Kongyang District Public Security Bureau had arrived. Yuenzi stiffened. The timing was too strange. At the door, she argued fiercely with the officers, defending Yuenzi and demanding to know their purpose. One investigator tried to calm her while another called for Yuenzi. He hesitated, suspicious of their intent, but eventually introduced himself as Zhang Yuanqing and asked what this was about. The man leaned forward, apologizing before asking if Yuenzi knew Lei Yibing. Yuenzi admitted they had grown up together, and the officer revealed why they had come. Lei Yibing was missing. The Hangzhou Bureau reported that before his disappearance, Bing had sent Yuenzi a package. The news hit like a blow. Yuenzi slammed his hands on the table in shock, but the investigator urged him to calm down and answer plainly. When asked about the package, Yuenzi explained he'd received it only recently. There was no sender listed. What was inside? The man pressed. Yuenzi replied flatly. It was empty. He explained that aside from some bubble wrap, there was nothing. The card, now vanished, went unmentioned. The officers exchanged glances. One insisted they would need to inspect his room, computer, and phone, reminding him it was in his best interest to cooperate. Yuanzi agreed, hoping compliance would prove his innocence. A young woman stepped forward, smiling politely as she held out her hand for his phone. Startled, Yuanzi hesitated, but finally surrendered it, mumbling that he only used it for study. She assured him they were only interested in matters related to Bing. Over tea, Yuanzi pressed them for more details. Calmly, the lead officer explained. Bing's disappearance had baffled everyone. No footage showed him leaving, yet he had simply vanished from his locked dorm room. After 24 hours without contact, the school reported it to the police. But beyond that, there was little progress. Listening intently, Yuanzi realized they knew no more than he did. Either the police were clueless, or someone was hiding the truth. Fixing the investigators with a hard stare, he warned them to keep him informed of any clues and to hide nothing. The officer's expression darkened. He leaned closer and said coldly, "Otherwise, you might be the next to go missing." Yuanzi stiffened, unsure if it was a warning or a threat. Masking his unease, he forced a smile and thanked the man for his advice. Yuanzi looked startled as the investigator announced the inspection was complete. Her smug smile left him flustered, certain she had seen more than he wanted. After handing him a business card and thanking him, the group prepared to leave. Auntie, however, politely declined to escort them out, which caught them off guard. Before departing, Yuanzi asked the officer to inform him immediately of any news about Brother Bing. The man agreed, then took his leave. Still worried, Auntie later visited Bing's mother for answers. Yuanzi, claiming he felt unwell, excused himself to rest. Troubled, he asked Auntie to tell Grandpa about Bing's disappearance and to have him contact Uncle Lei upon returning. She briskly agreed. The scene shifted to the city, where tall buildings gleamed under the sun. A black luxury SUV was parked by the curb. Inside, the stern man questioned the female investigator about the search. She reported finding hidden folders named Vivo 50 and, with a sly smile, added that today is Crazy Thursday. The man's face darkened. He demanded details, only for her to reveal the study materials contained images of mature women, while his social activity showed only gaming and certain groups. His room was barren, save for a console. Frustrated, the man scolded her, calling such reports childish and warning her against crude jokes. Yuanzi, with a faint smile, brushed it off, remarking that humor could lighten tense moments. She admitted they had found nothing useful on his computer or phone, but mentioned a hidden letter from Ebing discovered under a flower pot, along with a mysterious character card. That revelation left the man deep in thought before dismissing her, telling her to return tomorrow. Meanwhile, Yuanzi sat alone, glasses glowing faintly as he pieced things together. Bing's disappearance was no accident. Someone was after the black card. The bureau couldn't be trusted, and the three investigators had unclear loyalties. His best option was to confide in his cousin. But when he tried, he couldn't reach him. Yuanzi groaned in comical distress. At that moment, Lao Bang burst in, furious he had ignored her calls and gifts. Yuanzi, surprised, insisted he was coming. As he stood, pain tore through his head, nearly knocking him off balance. Tears welled in his eyes as he clutched his forehead, Lao Bang's voice calling out in alarm. Later, her mother explained he had gone to bed early with a headache and warned not to disturb him. She then asked Lao Bang about her blind date. With exaggerated enthusiasm, Lao Bang described a wealthy man with a car and a house, but dismissed him for earning too much. Meanwhile, Yuanzi sat by the window, silhouetted against an orange sky, deep in thought. In his reflection, he spotted a strange mark on his forehead. A black disc with a glowing purple outline appeared, a progress bar at 90%. His eyes widened. The black card hadn't vanished. It had fused with him. Brother Bing's warning echoed in his mind. Someone wanted the card, and Bing had disappeared because of it. The bar ticked up, 99%. Yuanzi panicked, arms flailing, wondering how it had advanced so fast. Suddenly, a digital voice declared the character card reboot complete. A holographic panel appeared, displaying his attributes. Human race, Night God class, level 0. His morality was 60, with a warning to never let it fall below that number. Yuanzi stared in disbelief. This was a system, just like in the novels. The display prompted him to name his character. Using a stylus, he typed in his real name, but a warning flashed forbidding it. Confused, he quickly chose another. Yuanshi Tianzuan, the system confirmed. The interface then announced, Spirit Realm opening in 10 seconds. A countdown appeared. 10, 9, 8. Yuanzi's eyes widened as he asked aloud what the Spirit Realm was. The display updated. Welcome to Spirit Realm, Night God, Yuling Tunnel 0079. It was marked S difficulty, a single-player, death-type challenge. His task, survive 3 hours and explore the Spirit Realm. The world shifted. Yuanzi opened his eyes slowly, finding himself surrounded by glowing particles and jagged stone walls. His fist clenched with resolve as he surveyed the cavern. A holographic screen hovered before him, introducing the Yuling Tunnel, one of Xiang's 10 great masscapes. Staring at the rocky walls, Yuanzi cried out in pain, clutching his chest. Was this really the urban legend? He had seen the real tunnel recently. It hadn't looked like this. Trembling, he tried to convince himself this couldn't be real. But the truth pressed in. He was trapped in the Spirit Realm. A voice echoed through the darkness, delivering his mission again. Survive 3 hours and explore the tunnel. Yuanzi exhaled, weighing the risk. If his class, Night God, was the reward, then perhaps this was the gift Bing had spoken of. But Bing's warning was clear. Danger was unavoidable. His face tightened in grim determination. The cavern trembled. Glass-like capsules glowed from the rock, connected by black wires. A bulb burst overhead. And then from the shadows it appeared, an enormous, tattered figure radiating a suffocating dark aura. Yuanzi froze, staring in disbelief as the monster emerged from the depths of the Spirit Realm. The figure's decayed feet dragged closer, each step echoing through the darkness. A zombie-like creature roared, its mouth gaping wide, radiating a suffocating aura. From that roar, a wave of destructive force erupted. Out of the shadows, more corpses with glowing red eyes lunged forward, their withered forms moving through a crimson mist. Yuanzi froze, wide-eyed, his face twisted in fear as sweat trickled down his brow. A terrified cry burst from his throat as the horde surged toward him. He bolted, stumbling through the cavern. Yet strangely, the creatures didn't chase. Instead, one lifted a clawed hand and pointed past him. Confused and trembling, Yuanzi turned, realizing they weren't hunting him, but showing him something. Their bony hands all stretched toward the same direction, an eerie house looming in the distance. Then, from within that ruin, a violent sound shook the air. Out of the void, a burning red light appeared like a monstrous eye, flooding the scene with menace. Yuanzi sprinted across the rocky ground, red streaks flashing behind him as he ran. But when a shadowy figure reached out, a powerful force struck him, knocking him off balance. A golden light shimmered near his head, another sign. Heart pounding, Yuanzi wondered why the corpses hadn't attacked. Were they guiding him instead? Or was this just part of his deadly S-rank mission? Sweat dripping, clutching his head, he staggered forward into a moonlit forest. Silence pressed in from all sides. The corpses were gone, but the path ahead only grew stranger. At last, he reached the house. Its tiled floor echoed under his step, and a heavy, suffocating presence wrapped around him. Inside, the place felt abandoned, ruined walls, scattered debris, the lingering air of something long forgotten. His eyes widened. Could this be a temple? A holographic display flickered before him, showing his own image alongside special instructions. He remembered the warning, do not enter the temple. And yet, he realized this was the place his mission demanded he explore. Distress twisted his face. Both objectives had merged into one. Survive for 3 hours and investigate the ruined temple. There was no way back. Moving forward might kill him, but retreat guaranteed the same. After a moment of despair, he clenched his fists. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. From the tall grass outside, a rustling broke the silence. Yuanzi froze, listening. The sound grew louder, closer. His breath quickened. Ghostly encounters always began with sounds. Sweat dripped down his temples as he whispered frantically that he had done nothing wrong, aside from browsing study materials. The rustling surged. Terror seized him. With a shout, he sprinted into the building, only to be hurled forward by a violent force. He crashed through the doorway, landing hard on the wooden floor, gasping in pain. Exhausted, he sat on the porch, staring out at the moonlit ruins. Quiet returned, too quiet. Inside, flickering candles lit the chamber. Yuanzi's gaze climbed toward the throne where a veiled monarch sat in shadow, flanked by two armed figures. He let out a nervous sound. Nearby, massive statues loomed, one seated with a staff, two kneeling in reverence. The scale left him awestruck. In another hall, he discovered a damaged statue of a goddess, its missing item nagging at his mind. Perhaps it was a clue. His eyes then fell on an ancient tablet inscribed with foreign script, its carvings centuries old. Realization struck. This temple dated back to the early Ming dynasty, 500 or 600 years. Abandoned for so long, yet the candles still burned. His eyes reflected their faint glow as he wondered. Was this truly a spirit realm? Or had it been discovered first by mortals, turned into an urban legend? Either way, the danger was real. And to survive, he needed more answers. Yuanzi clenched his jaw, his eyes burning with resolve. He would take the risk. Yuanzi collapsed in the dim, confined space as the decaying figure's twisted face came into view, its mouth open in silent agony. Kneeling beside it, Yuanzi examined its broken ribs and fractured shoulder before noticing something tucked inside its chest pocket. He carefully pulled out a blood-stained, time-worn piece of paper. The note recalled how a third disciple had mysteriously vanished the night before. In fear, a robed man confronted Bun-Bearded Man, insisting a demon was behind the abductions. But Bun-Bearded Man dismissed the idea, claiming no demon would dare prey on their cultivated disciples. The disciples remembered the master's command to hide certain truths from worshippers for the sake of the temple's patronage. While they sensed he knew more than he admitted, the young scribe was confident his talismans and summoning skills were enough to handle any spirits without the master's help. But unease spread. A disciple, troubled by a dark premonition, went to eldest senior brother about the disappearances. Yet after 3 more went missing over calm nights, no answers surfaced. The young scribe grew convinced something was wrong. He noticed eldest senior brother acting strangely, furious, as if he had discovered something, but refusing to explain until tomorrow. By the next day, eldest senior brother was gone too. Desperate, the young scribe reported this to Bun-Bearded Man, admitting he could no longer cope. With a heavy expression, Bun-Bearded Man told them to meet him in his quarters after sunset. He would reveal everything, including the temple's hidden past. That night, after his meal, the young scribe waited in his room with unusual anticipation for nightfall, despite the terror of the disappearances. Back in the present, Yuanzi held the aged papers, puzzled why the record ended so abruptly. He realized the note from a senior construction worker was an important clue. Standing inside a ruined hall beneath the gaze of a sinister statue, he wondered if uncovering the mountain god temple's decline would advance his quest. Knowing he had learned all he could from the main hall, he decided he would have to confront the temple's dangers directly. Following the path of an urban legend survivor, he resolved to find his own way. Yuanzi hesitated at a wooden door, then pushed it open to a brightly lit area. He paused at the threshold, wary of the silence outside. A heavy breath escaped him as he clutched his chest, sensing danger nearby. Turning sharply to his right, his eyes narrowed in the dim light. Waiting was no longer an option. Yuanzi stepped forward with resolve. Now beneath a star-filled sky, he stood among the ruins of an overgrown city. He walked a narrow path, his gaze fixed on a crumbling structure in the distance. From above, the entire complex appeared shattered and swallowed by weeds. Cautiously, he pressed on through tall grass until he came upon several large, tightly wrapped forms. He stopped and glanced back, unease weighing on him. Though he had grown used to the night, the construction team's fate still haunted him. In the shadows, he noticed skeletal remains. The victims had suffered brutal ends, yet strangely, some shoulder blades remained intact. Suddenly, desperate cries echoed through the forest. Yuanzi froze, panic flooding his chest. The voices begged to know why no one had come to save them. They rang from beyond a rotting archway in the dark woods. Terrified, Yuanzi spun around, shouting in despair that the archway itself was a trap and he was the one who needed saving. But then, he realized the cries were real. Someone was truly calling for help. Clutching his head, Yuanzi staggered under the weight of the voices. He clenched his fists, anger rising. Through gritted teeth, he swore that if he made it out alive, he'd send someone's study notes straight to Uncle Lei. Red-faced and furious, Yuanzi's determination flared. The symbols of rage around him marked a single vow. He would show just how studious he really was.